Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Water Ambassador Program. The Water Ambassador Program is a partnership program between Martin County and the University of Florida IFAS Extension and the Florida Sea Grant Program. It is a stormwater education program designed to teach residents and visitors of Martin County and the broader Treasure Coast region about stormwater impacts, solutions, and projects that are done to mitigate stormwater. If you are in Martin County and you see anything that doesn't look right, you can report it to the county either through this QR code or through the phone number provided here. We are excited to announce that we have filled up our year slot of webinars. So we have a great lineup of upcoming talks for you. Next one in May is talking about ecosystem scale water quality restoration. This is from Dave Tomasco, the former director of Sarasota Bay Estuary Preserve. And we're going to be talking about the Florida Lake Watch program in June and upside down jellyfish, Cassiopeia, as a bioindicator of pollution in the IRL. So those are our summer webinars coming up, and you can see the other links on the and topics on the other side. And Vincent and I will be putting the topics and the registration links in the chat for you if you're interested in any of them. As always, we are recording this, and the presentation recording will be available on the Martin County Extension YouTube page. We also ask that just for connectivity and for recordings that you please keep yourselves muted and this way, just so we don't have any distractions. If we do find distractions, I may have to mute you myself. So don't take it personally. It's just to make sure that we don't have any distractions with the sound. We will be having a Q&A at the end of the presentation. Please put all of your questions in the chat, and once the presentation is over, we will get to all the questions in the order in which they came. And Vincent and I are super excited to present our colleague, Dr. Monica Wilson, who's going to be talking about Operation Trap, keeping marine debris out of Florida's aquatic preserves. This is really timely. Vincent's been working hard behind the scenes to try and get some of these devices into the Indian River Lagoon Aquatic Preserve system. So it'd be great for you to learn more about it and hopefully contribute maybe locations of where some of these systems can go. But Monica is an experienced senior oceanographer with demonstrated history of working collaboratively with a variety of stakeholder groups. She's skilled in research, science, community outreach, and facilitation. She interprets technical information and translates it to non-technical audiences, conducts public outreach and extension, and interacts objectively and effectively with diverse audiences. In her current role as the Coastal Debris Project Coordinator for Operation TRAP, which stands for Trash Reduction for Aquatic Preserves, Dr. Wilson oversees all aspects of the project, which focuses on prevention, removal, and research of common debris entering Florida's Gulf Coast waterways. She coordinates the deployment, maintenance, and data collection of litter catchment devices and recruits, coordinates, and supervises volunteers, as well as plans and executes community outreach events. So Monica is going to be talking to us today about Operation TRAP, which has been thus far located on the Gulf Coast, but will hopefully soon be relevant to us over here on the Atlantic. So thank you so much, Monica, for your willingness to present, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm assuming you can see my first slide.
Yes, looks great.
Great. Okay, well, thank you so much for the invite, Vincent and Lisa. This is great. As she said, perfect timing as I've been working on trying to expand our reach for our project. So again, I am talking about Operation TRAP, which our goal is to keep marine debris out of Florida's aquatic preserves. And as Lisa said, we are in the Gulf Coast right now. This project is supported by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Marine Debris Program. So I'm just going to start off a little bit background about myself. Originally from Texas, came over to Eckerd College where I got my bachelor's degree, and then I got my master's and PhD from the USF's College of Marine Science. I spent around 10 years as Florida Sea Grants Oil Spill Research Extension Specialist, and then from that job I came over to here. Now I'm the Coastal Debris Project Coordinator for Operation Trap. So just a little bit about who, what, where, and when. So Operation Trap focuses on the installation of interceptor technologies, data collection, and community engagement to encourage the reduction of single-use plastic items while physically intercepting and preventing litter from entering Florida's aquatic preserves in the Big Bend and the Nature Coast region of Florida's Gulf Coast. This is a 4-year project in collaboration between UF-IFAS, the Nature Coast Biological Station, the Soil Water Ecosystem Science, NOAA, and Florida Sea Grant. We capture litter at the source by installing devices or interception technologies to trap and prevent litter, again, from entering the aquatic preserves, which in general reduces the risk of wildlife entanglement or ingestion and helping to maintain the natural beauty of the aquatic preserves. And as I said, we've partnered with the Florida DEP, Pasco and Levy County officials, and have implemented these technologies with the aim to build a local infrastructure that's better able to contribute to global and nationwide plastic interception goals. The project started in July of 2023 and is running through June of 2027. So we are in year 3 right at this moment. So I learned a little bit about the Aquatic Preserves. Some of you might already know this, but so the Florida DEP's Aquatic Preserve Program is a state-managed program that focuses on Florida's living waters and aims to preserve submerged resources for the enjoyment of future generations. There are 42 aquatic preserves in Florida, and they've all experienced some form of marine debris influence, whether it be from direct use like boat strandings or derelict fishing gear accumulation, or indirect causes from upland influences like litter. There are 3 aquatic preserves located within the Big Bend Nature Coast region are Big Bend seagrasses, St. Martin's, and the Nature Coast that you see here on this map, and those are the ones that we are focusing on. They span 8 counties and encompass roughly 1 million acres of continuous state-managed submerged resources. All 3 preserves in this region have specific objectives that are focused on marine debris reduction. These areas accumulate marine debris primarily as a result of storms and tourism impacts. And so with this grant, we have begun the process of addressing the single-use materials that enter the aquatic preserve waterways through drainage systems and boat access points. And this grant enables partnerships with coastal municipalities to implement proven trash interceptor technologies that are needed to stem the flow of debris into the water, Florida's aquatic preserves. Our project goal was to install anywhere from 38 to 62 devices during a 3-year period. And as of now, today, we have installed over 41 interceptor devices, which I'll speak a little bit more about in just a minute. So our goals for TRAP are obviously to install the interceptor technologies to capture litter at the source, which will then reduce the quantity of litter that's entering the aquatic preserves. We collect data on the types and quantities of debris that are being captured. And then we also have a goal of engaging with the community to foster change through data-driven education and outreach. We have a goal to produce a municipality toolkit to encourage other governments to implement similar approaches in their communities. And then we hope to obviously develop stewards of Florida's sensitive coastal resource and encourage lifestyle changes. So we'll start with the first goal, which is to install interceptor technologies to capture litter at the source. The interceptor devices that we have installed include monofilament tubes, boom catchment devices, and storm drain traps. And I will go through each of these next. A lot of folks are familiar with these. Monofilament recycling containers are PVC receptacles that are installed at public access points such as boat ramps, fishing piers, and kayak launches. These collection bins are durable and have been a proven method to intercept monofilament line. We have actually made a modification to some of the new monofilament tubes that we've installed that you can see in these pictures. The tops of the tubes have a smaller opening in hopes to minimize the amount of trash that actually gets put into these tubes. And these 3 tubes here have been installed at different docks and piers at in Pasco County. The second interceptor devices are called water goats. That's the actual name of the brand that we use. These we have 4 that are installed in Pasco County. And these boom catchment devices are designed to stretch across canals or creeks to capture floating debris that is slowly moving in slowly moving water. The device occupies the top layer of water and therefore it does not impede wildlife access. And we've partnered with the Water Goat and Water Warrior Alliance to install the boom catchment devices. We help train and recruit volunteers to clean out the devices, and we also provide supplies for cleanouts. Installation is pretty simple. It involves site visits to make sure the chosen locations are feasible and to get an idea of how long the water goat needs to be. And then they will attach the water goat either to a tree, use an anchor that is put into the ground, or a sturdy post, such as the pictures on the bottom there show. We've attached the water goats to a post on the walking bridge in those 2 scenarios. The third device that we use are storm drain traps. These are designed to be installed into existing stormwater drainage basins and are available for purchase in different variety of sizes to accommodate multiple storm drain designs. The process of installation involves measurements and pictures of each storm drain. The measurements are then sent to the company to begin the process to order. Ordering and installation is dependent upon the brand of trap and type of storm drain basin. Some traps, you mount frames into the existing walls. As you can see in the top 2 left-hand pictures, myself and Morgan are measuring the storm drains to make sure we get the appropriate measurements on the worksheets that are provided by the companies. And in the top 2 right corner pictures, that's me installing the bracket into the storm drain basin and then installing the baskets. The bottom 2 left pictures show completed installations of one certain type of basket. One sits under a grate, and you can see the black sealants around the basket. And then the one next to that has troughs, and that goes into this particular storm drain basin that has a curb inlet. So as water and trash flow through the curb or stormwater runoff, these troughs capture that water and it leads it straight into the basket. So the water goes through and anything or any litter that's in that water gets deposited in the basket. The bottom 2 right, the pictures on the bottom right, those are other types of storm drain basins that we've used from different company, and those simply for installation literally just sit inside the concrete ledge of the basin. So it's simply take the grate out and slip it in and then put the grate back on. So a little bit of easier of installation. All the baskets that we have a mesh size of 5 millimeters. So we're not looking to capture microplastics, just looking macro and above. So as far as the locations where we have, as I mentioned, we are in Cedar Key and Pasco County. As for Cedar Key, we have installed 10 storm drain traps, which you see here on this map in red, yellow, and blue, and 2 monofilament tubes, which are in green. Cedar Key is being used as a test site to test 3 different types of storm drain traps. The colors on the map correspond to the different type of trap that's installed in that specific site. We have 3 different types of storm drain traps. So this allows us to compare installation maintenance for each trap in similar areas. As you can see, we have them in certain specific regions together. That way they all have the same type of whatever stormwater runoff is going through. They're all in similar areas, but each site has a different trap, just so we can kind of compare and contrast to similar sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Similar that they goodness gracious, I'm just going to leave it. But I will talk more about these in this a little bit in the presentation, as far as the different types of traps that we have and what we've learned and pros and cons of each trap based off of what we've captured here and what we've learned from Cedar Key. In Pasco County, we have 16 storm drain traps, which you see here in blue, 4 water goats that are in teal, and then we have over 12 monofilament tubes, which are located here in lime green. With Pasco County being such a large county, the team needed guidance on the best places to install the storm drain traps. So they decided to partner with the county and the county board of commissioners and the public works to determine the base placement for the interceptor devices. The county actually generated this debris hotspot work order map. It's based off of maintenance needs, and you can clearly see it indicates hotspots in Pasco County where stormwater systems were experiencing an elevated level of debris input. So we took that map, and I just going to overlay where our devices are located, and you can see we try to definitely hit some of the hotspots of where those were from the map that the county provided, and we've done such a pretty good job from what I think. But it was also able to let us know where we might not be the best options to put storm drain traps. So it was very helpful when deciding where to install the traps. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about how we collect the data on the types and quantities of debris being captured. Our cleanouts are conducted once a month, and depending on which interceptor device we're cleaning out, each of our collection, our practices are different. So for the storm drain traps, data is compiled on debris types and the amounts collected. All our data is shared through our trap project website, education outreach opportunities, and any school programs, as well as through mobile and pop-up education events. And we also share the data with the local and government entities, land resource managers to further share any decision-making regarding litter and single-use items, as well as to the public to foster the behavioral change. So for the maintenance of the storm drain traps, we empty and maintain the device, again, once a month. So the way it happens is we remove the grate that is on covering the opening. We lift the basket out, as you can see in that top left picture. We weigh the contents, weigh the basket full, empty out the contents, weigh the basket empty, and then we also do sort and catalog materials that we collected and then dispose of or recycle the contents. As you can see here also in this picture, it's our worksheet, an example of our worksheet that we use. It is actually, we have gotten that worksheet from the International Trash Trap Network, which we are also utilizing some of their information. That way we can upload our data to their database, which is international. And so all of our data gets uploaded there as well. As I mentioned, traps are cleaned out every 4 to 6 weeks, weather permitting, to ensure that litter pot does not build up and contribute to any potential flooding, or to provide more frequent opportunity for data collection. And as I mentioned, all our data is uploaded into the Ocean Conservancy International Trash Trap Network as well. And so that's for how we do the storm drain traps. Next, for the water goat cleanouts, these are also conducted once a month, usually using nets and buckets. If necessary, we will get into the water to get as much trash out as possible. The trash that we collect is put in bags, weighed, and categorized using EPA's Environmental Trash Assessment Protocol, or ETAP. And depending on how many bags of trash we collect determines the amount of bags we conduct the ETAP on. So if we collect 15 bags, we're not going to sort it all out. We'll pick out, 2 to 3 bags, empty it out, and sort only those 2-3 bags, and then estimate from that how much trash was picked up during that clean out. You can see here the data report is also similar to what we see on EPA's ETAP, because again, we utilize their protocol. And so when we go out and do the cleanouts, again, you can see in this picture here, us cleaning the top 2 of the water goats up on the top 2 pictures. The bottom left, we see the amount of bags captured, and a tire and a desk also captured in one of these water goats. And on the right bottom, you see our team starting to organize and separate materials based off of material type, and then into more specific subcategories after that. Once we collect all the materials, they're properly disposed of or recycled at local facilities if we can recycle them. As for the monofilament tubes, are also cleaned out once a month. We use this instruction sheet with a QR code that directs our volunteers or our staff directly to a Google form where they can enter the data. What we basically empty out the monofilament tubes into a bucket, weigh all contents, and then try to remove any trash that is in the tube or in our bucket, and only weigh fishing related content, so we can get an idea of how many folks are actually, how much fishing related material is being recycled and put into these monofilament tubes. So now I'm going to go back and talk a little bit about the data. So I just want to remind you of the locations of where the traps are located in Cedar Key. And as of now, this is just a more broad type of bar graph that shows a snapshot of what we collected in Cedar Key as of March from the storm drain traps. You can see by the graph the top three collected items in Cedar Key are cigarette butts, construction materials, and paper pieces, bags and pieces. To date, we have captured over 7,672 pieces of large debris in the Cedar Key storm drain traps. But using that data, we've also found out some pretty interesting things by just looking at types of data and their timestamp. And so this will show you, so I just want to zoom in on this and we'll have these three regions circled. So as I mentioned before, we have storm drain traps located in similar regions. So in the blue, we have the G Street region. They're mostly in a neighborhood. There's three of them located in one intersection. In the green, we call it the C Street region. There's three traps all located on again another intersection. And then on the gray, we call it the bridge. There's four storm drain traps that are located on the bridge in Cedar Key. And so I just want you to keep these areas in mind because now the next graphs I will show you will be talking about the regions themselves, not each site. So as we can see here, we can see the difference in the amount of trash that we're collecting per region. The blue region, the G Street region, which is mostly in a neighborhood area, we can see we do not collect that much non-organic material or debris in those three storm drain basins. Whereas in the gray and the green, which are more popular regions and more touristy regions where folks like to go and visit, we do tend to collect more debris. And this is just basically count by date and by region. And so we have noticed, and there's a gap out in there October, that was when Hurricane Helene came through, and we did not go and clean out the storm drain traps due to some of the damage that was done by the hurricane. However, we decided to look into a little bit one particular storm type of trash. Cigarette butts, as I mentioned, are the number one collector in Cedar Key. So we took those just cigarette butts and plotted them by region again, same color, same region. As you can see, the blue region, we barely get any cigarette butts. It's again in the neighborhood. And so this figure kind of shows the amount of cigarette butts we found monthly for, like I said, for each region. What we basically found out, and we want to point out here, is that if you look in the prior to September of 2024, in the bridge, on the bridge, which is the gray line, we noticed a lot of cigarette butts. That's where we were finding most of our cigarette butts at that moment. Once the hurricane hit, the bridge was closed due to damage. Also, some of the restaurants and touristy spots that were located on the bridge had damage and were closed as well. So the foot traffic that the bridge was seeing was no longer there. What we did see is we saw an increase in cigarette butts in the green region, which is again the C Street region, which is another area where there are restaurants and little shops in Cedar Key. And also restaurants that were not able to open for their full establishment would have pop-up shops in that same area. So they had food trucks and other things that they established there for the time being. And so more people were now actually going to that intersection, and we saw an increase in cigarette butts. The number of cigarette butts increased and shifted to a different region right after the hurricane until due to the bridge being closed and folks no longer going over and back on the bridge as often. We can see now more like they're getting a little bit, the green and the gray line are kind of evening out now towards the end of 2025, beginning of 26. But we just thought it was interesting that we could see the human behavior of the folks just by counting cigarette butts and plotting them out. Now, just another reminder that the colors on the map corresponded to different types of traps that were installed at specific sites in Cedar Key. And we did this again, as I mentioned, to allow us to compare installation and maintenance for each type of these traps. This information is going to be included in our municipality toolkit that we hopefully produce that we will produce before the project is over to help inform others. So throughout the project, we've actually learned quite a few things from using the storm drain traps. So those that were customized, which I had showed you, that were there were the two that just slipped right in. They took longer to manufacture and receive. So that was, if you want to start the project really quickly, that might not be the route for you. But due to customization, the traps can also not be relocated unless the storm drain that you are wanting to relocate it is similar in size and shape. So that's unfortunate for the customized storm drain traps. As far as installation, the customized traps required less tools, and we're drop-in ready. The non-customized traps required more tools, installation, training, and drilling into existing structure. As far as trap removal of traps can be difficult depending on the size of the trap. Not all baskets are easily removable from the traps. In some cases where the entire trap needs to be removed, like the picture you see on the top there, that trap the whole metal structure has to be completely removed to empty it out. So weighing it can be a little difficult, and sometimes if it has a lot of trash in it, it can be heavy and hard to remove. As for the actual baskets that are included in these storm drain traps, some baskets are not as secure, so causing a little fear that they might slip off the bracket, and if the debris is too heavy and we might lose it in the storm drain. That has not happened yet, but that's just a concern. And then the materials that the basket is made out of can affect the amount of sediment that's captured. One of these, the trap at the bottom that's outlined in yellow, the basket is nylon, and it's a double layer nylon. So we tend to get sediment caught in between the two layers of nylon, which isn't terrible, but can be, especially when you have a high rainstorm and there's a lot of sediment going into the storm water and into the basins. It can capture more sand than we would like. As far as maintenance and durability, all traps had little to no impact from the hurricanes, which has been great. But if they do have damage, the two traps, the one in blue and the one in yellow, again, they are customized to fit. So if there is any type of damage on it, you'd have to get another customized storm drain for it instead of like the one in the middle, outlined in red. With the seals, it has different pieces. So if only one piece gets damage, you can basically remove it and just replace that single piece instead of the entire storm drain trap itself. So now I'm going to move on to Pasco County. So this map shows, again, the interceptor devices that are currently in Pasco County. As far as the types of trash we're collecting in the Pasco County storm drain traps, we have gotten more plastic pieces, construction materials, and cigarette butts falls into third place in Pasco County. To date, we have captured a total of over 8,419 pieces of large debris in the Pasco storm drain traps. As I mentioned, Pasco County is a large county. It's not as easy to get to all the storm drain traps. They're all located in different areas of the county. And so just this slide itself shows site number on the bottom and then just average count of types of debris. Average count of debris that we get per site. So we can see there's one site 25, that is the furthest north and more inland. It captures a lot more debris than most of the others. And I will say that one was one of the last ones that we installed. So it hasn't even been out as long as some of the other sites, but it is capturing quite a bit of debris. As far as sites 13 and 14, those are the second highest. They're located on a road that is fairly busy, where there's quite a lot of traffic, as well as homes that were impacted by hurricanes and have been under construction. So we've actually collected a lot of construction materials such as tile, drywall, screws. We've also located, at one time we located over 300 pieces of a similar plastic, small bits of pieces of all the plastic that looked exactly the same color, same sheen. And in looking in it closer, we think it might have been from a car accident because it was all the exact same color. And anyway, we thought we had ended up getting over 100 pieces of the exact same looking plastic in this one storm drain trap. And we assume that it could be from a car accident because it is such a busy road. And then if we look at site, 3 or, no, there's two 13s. I'm sorry, that should be 12, not 13. Site 12, those are very little. They are located in a neighborhood with no outlet. There's one that's located in a neighborhood that has no outlet. The neighbors keep their yards great. And so there's usually never any trash in that basket. Lots of organic debris, but no trash. As far as site three, it's in a park, Anclote River Park, in the middle of the park. And so there's usually, again, that also is a very well kept park. There's lots of trash cans around, so we never really get any debris, maybe 1 to 2 pieces of debris every time we go out. So these are just a few pictures of what we've captured in some of the traps from both Pasco County and Cedar Key. Anything from floss picks to larger pieces of styrofoam. The size of debris we collect will also depend on the type of trap. Again, if it's a curb inlet trap, larger debris will be able to flow through the curb during a stormwater runoff or a high flowing water going into that. It brings bigger pieces. They are not obviously the size of debris is not hindered by the size of debris is hindered by the size of the grate or the curb. So the grates that sit on top of some of these traps, their holes could be anywhere from 1 inch to 2 or 3 inches. So that'll obviously be a factor in the types of trash that we are collecting. We will not be finding large pieces of trash under some of these storm grates, but the storm drain traps that are in curb inlets that have the curb opening, we will find larger pieces of trash, anywhere from water bottles to big pieces of styrofoam to, metal cans, aluminum cans, larger pieces like that. Whereas, like I said, in Cedar Key, there's smaller curbs, smaller grates, so we find smaller types of trash. The bottom right hand picture there shows a badge that we use. So any traps that when we install any traps, we also put this badge out there so folks can, if they're interested, they have our website there. They can look it up and see what we're doing. Leads them straight to the website, and they can figure out why or how or what the goals of the project are. And they will know that there's a storm drain trap located in that basin. As far as the water goats go, in Pasco County, as I mentioned, we have 4 in Pasco County. This is a quick snapshot of what we've collected. As I mentioned, the EPA ETAP has separated everything by type or what type of trash it is, whether it's glass, metal, paper, plastic, or other. And just to highlight a few things, the number one, the highest type of debris we're capturing is plastic. It's made from plastic, over 4,000 pieces thus far. And in that, the subcategory, if we go into a little bit more detail, the highest subcategory within the plastic is styrofoam pieces, over 1,800 pieces of styrofoam we found during our cleanouts for the water goats. Again, this is just a picture of what we've collected. Some people are pretty interested to see what we collect. We always get the question of what's one of the weirdest things we've collected. I would say Twinkies encased completely in their plastic wrapping was a surprise for us. But we've collected anywhere from the top left picture shows a plastic chair with some fencing. A squishmallow is sitting in that chair and holding a fishing pole. We've taken a bike out of one of our creeks. Again, the desk and the attire were also taken out. And then again, on the bottom right, styrofoam, that's just a picture of styrofoam cups and pieces that we have collected at one site at one clean out. So yeah, this is, and the top middle picture is actually, if you see those white styrofoam boxes, they're not coolers, they're just solid styrofoam boxes. This is at a site in Anclote River in Pasco County, and we've captured these types of boxes on a continuous basis. Not every cleanout, but we've definitely seen them at most cleanouts. So the idea now is to, obviously, we take note of it and then try to figure out where they're coming from. And hopefully, once we figure out the source, we can educate them on how, we don't know how they're escaping, but maybe we can figure out a way to limit the amount that escape, or even just eliminate them altogether. We're not 100% sure what they're used for. We've heard maybe floating docks, but somehow they're getting down the river and into our water goat at a consistently. And so we're hoping that we can work with our local Sea Grant agent to figure out the source of them, educate where the folks who are located at the source, and maybe we can find a way to eliminate them from floating down the river. As far as our monofilament tubes, so as I mentioned before, we've made modifications to the tops of our monofilament tubes. And here you see a picture of the modified tube and also the traditional tube. And we have found that modified tubes have done a pretty decent job at minimizing the amount of trash that we collect. So here in this graph, there are 4 sites. We have Eagle Point Park in Pasco County has 4 tubes. They're all on their docks or kayak launching area in that park. And two of the tubes have the traditional opening of the 6-inch hole, and then 2 of the tubes are modified tubes. And this graph shows the 4 tubes that are located there. Sites 2 and 1, which are in green and blue, are the traditional tubes, and sites 3 and 4, which are in pink and purple, are the modified tubes. And we have pounds on the left, so this is just all contents that are found in the tube. So that includes trash and fishing line. And so we can see just from this graph the difference between the green and the blue old traditional tubes versus the pink and the purple that are the new modified tubes. We do get a significantly less amount of trash in the modified tubes. So it's nice to see that people are, unfortunately, although these are not used for trash and we have signs that ask them not to put trash in them, people do use them as trash cans. And it's good that we are happy to see that our modified tubes are keeping the trash out of the tubes and just being mostly used for fishing gear or fishing related material. As I mentioned, another goal of our project is to engage the community to foster change through our work. And we host booth events like at the Nature Coast Biological Station Open House. We have booths at the St. Petersburg Science Festival. And so we have, to help with engagement opportunities and educate folks, we do have a sign that you see there on the left-hand side. That sign is located at all our water goat sites and explains what it is and what it's doing. And then we also have a plastic-free swag that we give out to those that we speak to or teach to and teach them about alternatives to single-use plastic. And as I mentioned, we also have our badges that are put on storm drain traps. For those that want to learn more of our project, they have our website that's located there. And as I mentioned, we've set up tables at different events to educate people about our projects, share some actions that they can take to limit their use for plastic, and also teach them about alternatives to single use and how to properly dispose of trash so that it doesn't end up in our waterways. As of today, we've reached over 3,000 folks from the public just from these events themselves. Another way that we are trying to engage and are hoping to engage are through volunteers. So we do have volunteer opportunities. We have a volunteer opportunity called Adopt a Water Goat, or even Adopt a Monofilament Tube, where we, if anyone's looking for volunteer opportunities, these are their 2 options. We actually train the volunteer. We will go on site, train the volunteers, and supply all the necessary items that they need. So here, the Adopt a Water Goat program is where a group can choose to adopt one of our boom catchment devices. We will, again, supply the material that's there, as you can see in that picture. Training, we will train them on how to conduct the ETAP. And then we will, we will do maybe 1 to 2 trainings. Once that they have completed that, the group then plans all the cleanouts on their own. They collect the data, they collect pictures, they take pictures, and then send all of that to me to add to our data collection. In these pictures, a group from Scuba Knots adopted one of our water goats. And that's then just some pictures that they shared with me on one of the clean out dates that they were doing. And again, they get to plan it. All we ask is that they clean it out once a month. They plan the date and then share everything, all the data and all the photos with me. And the same goes for the monofilament tubes. We will supply any person that wants to volunteer to clean out the monofilament tubes. We'll provide them with the bucket, the gloves, scale, the sheet you saw that shows them instructions and the QR code for them to go ahead and do it out, clean out the tubes on their own. We also have our Operation Trap page, our website that shares everything about what the project is doing. It shares the data, what we've collected thus far, volunteer opportunities, plastic alternatives. So any information that we have or share with the folks out in the public, we post on this website. Events are posted up there, highlights are posted up there. So we utilize that website quite often to make sure that it's up to date, and the folks that are going to it do get the information or the most up to date data that we are sharing. And then we also have a page that says get involved for those that are interested. There's a button there where you can say, yes, I want to volunteer. It'll lead you to a Google form where I will get your information once it's done. And then I will add you to our volunteer list where I will send emails, usually at the beginning of every semester, that shares when the cleanouts are going to occur for a certain either fall, spring, or summer. And so folks can sign up individually for each cleanout that's available for each semester. We also have the Get Trained button. So one of our interns has produced a Canvas Canvas course with 4 modules that sends you through all the procedures of how to conduct a clean out, prepares you to know what's going to happen during a clean out, how we're going to do it, what we expect. So just they're not surprised when they come out and the clean out. And so we ask all volunteers to take it. It's about a 30 to 45-minute course. You get a certificate at the end that tells me that you have completed the course and the quizzes and module completion, and that we can then go ahead and start and having you come to our cleanouts and help us out. So as of today, our current totals for everything, the water goats, we've captured over 3,000 pounds of estimated trash, over 16,000 pieces of debris in our storm drain traps, over 20 pounds of fishing related debris in our monofilament tubes. We've had over 238 volunteers, over 1,200, well, that number hasn't recently changed, but 1,200 public encounters. And then our trap website for every year, you can see the views, the users and the page views from each year that the project has been ongoing. So what's next for our project? We're still hoping to recruit and train more volunteers. The more volunteers we get and more adoptions we get, the less cleanouts I and our intern have to do. So we are always looking for more volunteers to take over some of our cleanouts. We are going to install more intercept devices. Year 3, we're hoping to expand. We have been talking to different counties in Florida, those that are interested. We are installing hopefully more storm drain traps, some more water goats, and hopefully we have the goal to expand. We've been talking with Citrus County, St. Lucie Martin County, and up in a couple counties in the Panhandle, because there are some folks that are interested in installing these and putting them in their communities. Again, we will hopefully develop the municipality toolkit. And through the data analysis of the quantity and types of debris that we're collecting, we hope to show how effective that these can be at reducing trash, and then identify the main types of debris that we encounter. And then we're hoping to communicate these results to the public and put in this municipality toolkit to encourage installation of these technologies. And then the toolkit will also answer frequently asked questions. It would be Florida specific information, but it will hopefully have local points of contacts, and that to encourage other governments to implement similar approaches in their communities. And then as always, like we hope to develop stewards of Florida's sensitive coastal resources and encourage lifestyle changes. So that's always the #1 goal. And that's actually all that I have for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica. I am going to launch our poll, and then we do have a number of questions in the
Sure.
chat. So as I do that, maybe Vincent, you can start with the questions while I try and find the
Yeah,
polls.
absolutely. Thank you. Um, so the first question, I'm just going to go in order. The first question is from Heather. Um, uh, Heather is going to be one of our future speakers, by the way. So we're excited about that. Heather is asking, where will we be able to find the toolkits when they are ready?
Well, it'll most likely be on our website, but we will try to send it out to whoever. We have all our contact lists. Luckily, our Florida Sea Grant agents are located in areas too, so they are lots of help. We usually partner with them when we're trying to get something out. So we haven't exactly decided, but the idea is to get it to all over the state of Florida. And one way I know that we will do that is sharing it with our Florida Sea Grant agents, so they can also disseminate it to those that are interested. But it'll also be housed on our website too.
Cool. Yes, and Heather, I've been in touch with Irene and Jim Lappert in St. Lucie County, so be happy to include you in on those conversations if you'd like to be involved or have ideas for some potential locations in our
Yes.
area.
Please involve me. Please, please. I love it.
Okay. 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 Next one again from Heather. She is looking for a picture and other details about the modified monofilament tubes to share with others.
Awesome. Heather, I can get your information from Vincent and I can share you a picture of it. It's a super easy, basically when the tubes are, on the bottom tube, you have the screw cap. And we basically doubled that and put it on top and then cut off the little knob of the screw cap, which makes that 2 by 2 inch hole. There's other versions, but we actually took that from an old Sea Grant agent that was in Pensacola. Or Escambia. Nope, Santa Rosa County. And she shared it with me and we decided to implement it here and it's actually done a pretty good job. I've also seen other other variations of how to keep that. I know Texas Sea Grant, they put like a grate to cover that 6-inch hole and then saw out a little small 2 by 2 hole. So there's multiple ways, but I'm happy to send you pictures on both.
Cool. Next question is from Irene. Is this project available to all APs or aquatic preserves or just coastal counties?
Well, because we had said it's available to all APs. So because our name has Aquatic Preserve in it, we are definitely interested in sharing and expanding it to all areas of places in Florida that are interested.
Cool. And in our area, if for those who don't know, we have the Indian River Lagoon Aquatic Preserve and also the North Fork of the St. Lucie River are the two closest to where I am in Martin and St. Lucie County. Taylor is asking, is there a plan to bring this to the East Coast?
Yes, Vincent and I have been chit-chatting.
Yes, Taylor,
Yeah.
that is in the works, and we are right now trying to scout out different locations in Martin and St. Lucie counties.
Yes. So we purposely, when the group, my co-PIs, Dr. Savannah Berry and Dr. Laura Reynolds wrote this proposal, they purposely put in funds to expand. And so that is where we are right now, is getting them on board. Finding locations is usually probably the part that takes the longest to make sure they can be, our interceptor devices can be installed. But once we find a location and get the okay from everybody, municipalities as well, and local groups, and then we can go ahead and start moving forward. But yes, Vincent and I have been talking, and we're hoping to get moving on installing some over in the East Coast.
But to follow up with that, if any of you know of locations that might be good to host one of these different interceptor devices, throw it in the chat or connect with us offline.
Yeah.
It looks like Irene put a plug in for the Aquatic Preserve south of us, the Loxahatchee River and Lake Worth Creek Aquatic Preserve. So Irene, if you could, if that's a possibility, if there's any contacts down in that area, that if you can provide those
yeah,
offline email. It's
okay,
fine.
I'll reach out to you. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Irene. Last question that I see so far, again from Heather. She's asking, Monica, she's asking if you can go back over the different storm drain traps. Just that I think storm sack, litter trap, and then she missed the third name.
Sure. Let me go ahead and share my screen one more time. And then let me go back to that slide. Sorry, you guys are going to be seeing my, oh, there it went. So we have Storm Sack from Ferguson or Fatco, which is the top outlined in blue. The EnviroPod litter pot trap is in red. And then the bottom one is Frog Creek's gutter bin. So there's more, but those are the three that we, when the proposal was written, that we were going to go ahead and work with.
Here's a question, a comment from Carol Ann Mayer. Martin County, Palm City is installing a new trailer ramp, which might be a good start for the monofilament. I'm assuming that is that Layton Park, Carol? They're rebuilding that whole boat ramp area. Okay, perfect. Yep.
Yeah, and FWC runs the whole monofilament program in in Florida. So we can also contact them and have, if you want to get some monofilament tubes and if they have questions. We worked with Pasco. They had received over 23, I think, monofilament tubes that they just hadn't installed at the moment. And so that was part of our project is we took what they had and installed it and made the modification. So we technically didn't have to actually they provided the materials and then we provided just the parts for the modifications. But then we also agreed that we would be cleaning them out or we would find volunteers to clean them out. So that's how that that connection was made, was through Keep Pasco Beautiful. And I did want to mention, I forgot one thing when I showed my location. The teal too, if you look at the teal, those are all where our water goats are located. So the one on the furthest south that's more inland is Anklote. That one gets quite a bit of trash. I would say it collects the most amount of trash for us. But we didn't know this. The other three teals that are right along US Highway 19, we didn't realize this until we originally we were only going to install 3 water goats, but we had some funding to install a 4th. And we spoke to the ranger of Warner Boyce State Park, Salt Springs State Park, that's located right there in the Aquatic Preserve. And he's like, actually, because there was a creek that leads into that park. And he said, yes, we would love to have one. So we put one in. And he said, while you're at it, can you also put one at Double Hammock and Bear Creek? Because they all feed into the state park. And we're like, well, we actually already have some there. We didn't even know this. So it was a nice surprise that now we have 3 water goats in 3 creeks that feed directly into the state park. And so we keep in mind that to share the information with the state park ranger so he knows what kind of the amounts of trash that are being kept out of the park. So that's a kind of a neat little connection that we didn't realize we made, or that we didn't realize we made when we chose these sites. So it was pretty interesting.
Cool. I'm not seeing any more questions at this time.
I actually have a question. So I see, I'm going to call someone out. I see Eric here, who's one of our the clean boating coordinators for the state of Florida, and I'm wondering if you've partnered with any marinas and these intercept
We
devices.
have not. So ideally, yes, we were originally with the monofilament tubes. We had a list from Keep Pasco County that we wanted to try, where they were encouraging us to install monofilament tubes. But to get a hold of some of them, and some of them, depending on where they're located, private property, who owns them, it was a little tricky to get that involved. So we ended up just going to state parks because they were county owned. They were super easy to install, really quick. But that still is a goal to try to get in some other marinas. But then again, it comes out to, okay, once it's over, who's going to clean it out? Like if we're not doing the clean out, who's going to clean it out? Which it's fine. The marina, there's some folks in the marinas that are easy, that will do it. We just have to find them. We haven't been super successful, but yes, that has been talked about.
Yeah, that might be an opportunity to connect the clean boating program with you all.
Absolutely.
All right. I think that's it for the questions. Monica, I want to thank you so much again. We're looking forward to bringing this program, hopefully, to the East Coast. So thank you for sharing your experiences with this program
Thanks
and
for
the
having
success.
me. Thank you. I did put my email in the chat. I mean, feel free if anybody has more questions or is interested in talking more about it. I'm always happy to chit chat. So feel free to contact me if you guys want. But thanks again for the invitation.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Monica.
Thank you. And thank you all. We look forward to seeing you in May for our next Water Ambassador webinar.
Thanks, everybody.